The rain hammered against the windows of our cozy apartment in Minneapolis, a city I'd grown to love despite its brutal winters. Theron, a 43-year-old software engineer, sat hunched over my laptop, lines of code blurring before my tired eyes. My wife, Willow, a vibrant and seemingly devoted kindergarten teacher, was supposedly at a late-night school board meeting. Or so she had told me. We'd been married for 15 years. 15 years of what I thought was unwavering love, mutual respect, and a shared dream of growing old together. We'd met at a local coffee shop, our eyes locking over steaming mugs, and from that moment it felt like fate. I was drawn to her infectious laughter, her boundless energy, and her genuine kindness. She, in turn, seemed to appreciate my quiet strength, my unwavering loyalty, and my ability to fix anything that broke, both literally and figuratively. Lately, though, a subtle shift had occurred. Willow had become distant, preoccupied. Her laughter didn't reach her eyes anymore, and her once enthusiastic stories about her students were now infrequent. I attributed it to the stress of her job, the long hours, and the increasing demands of the school board. I tried to be supportive, offering to cook dinner, run errands, and generally lighten her load. But my efforts were met with polite, almost dismissive smiles. One evening, about a month ago, I noticed a text message flash across her phone screen while she was in the shower. It was from someone named Jasper, and the message read, "Can't wait to see you tonight." A knot formed in my stomach. I told myself it was nothing, a harmless flirtation, a misunderstanding. But the seed of doubt had been planted. Over the next few weeks, I became increasingly vigilant, noticing more subtle signs of deception. Late-night calls that she'd quickly end when I entered the room. Secretive whispers in the hallway. A new perfume that I hadn't bought her. I felt like I was living in a spy movie, constantly on edge, searching for clues that would either confirm or dispel my growing fears. Then came the night of the school board meeting. I had offered to drive Willow, but she insisted on taking her own car, claiming she might need to stay late. As I sat there, staring at the glowing screen, the rain seemed to intensify, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. I decided to do something I never thought I was capable of. I decided to follow her. I waited until about an hour after the meeting was supposed to start, then slipped out of the apartment and into my car. The rain made visibility poor, but I managed to spot Willow's silver SUV a few blocks away. She wasn't heading towards the school. Instead, she was driving towards the outskirts of the city, towards a part of town I didn't recognize. My heart pounded in my chest as I followed her, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. She eventually pulled into the parking lot of a small, secluded motel. The kind of place you see in movies, the kind of place where secrets are kept and promises are broken. I parked my car a safe distance away, my mind racing. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My Willow, my wife, the woman I had vowed to spend my life with, was about to walk into a motel with another man. I watched as she got out of her car, her face illuminated by the dim light of the parking lot. She was smiling, a genuine happy smile that I hadn't seen in months. A man emerged from the motel room and my blood ran cold. It was Jasper, the name from the text message. They embraced, their bodies pressed tightly together, and then they disappeared inside the room. I sat there, paralyzed, the rain blurring my vision, my heart shattering into a million pieces. The world as I knew it had just crumbled around me. I don't know how long I sat there, watching the motel room, the light flickering behind the drawn curtains. Eventually, I started the car and drove home, numb with disbelief and pain. I didn't confront Willow that night. I couldn't. I needed time to process what I had seen, to gather my thoughts, to figure out what to do next. The next morning, Willow came home, looking tired but strangely content. She walked into the kitchen, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "Morning, honey. Long night at the meeting." I stared at her, my eyes filled with a mixture of anger and sadness. "Did you have a good time?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. She looked at me, confused. "What do you mean, I know?" I said, my voice growing stronger. "I know about Jasper. I know about the motel." Her face paled. "Theron, I don't," I interrupted. "Don't even try to lie to me. I saw you, Willow. I saw you with him." Tears welled up in her eyes. "It's not what you think," she said, her voice trembling. "Then what is it, Willow? Tell me. Tell me what I saw wasn't real, she hesitated, then finally confessed. It just happened, she said. We were working late and we started talking, and one thing led to another, one thing led to another. I repeated, my voice rising. You slept with another man, Willow. That's not just one thing. That's betrayal. That's the end of our marriage. She started to cry, begging for forgiveness, promising it would never happen again. But the damage was done. The trust was broken. The love was gone. I asked her to leave. I couldn't bear to look at her, to be in the same room with her. She packed a bag and left, her tears streaming down her face. In the days that followed, I felt like I was living in a nightmare. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't concentrate on anything. My world had been shattered and I was left to pick up the pieces. I confided in my best friend, Oswin, a fiercely loyal and supportive man who had been my rock through thick and thin. He listened patiently as I poured out my heart, offering words of comfort and encouragement. You deserve better, Theron, he said. You're a good man, a loyal husband. She doesn't deserve you. Oswin's words helped, but the pain was still there, a constant ache in my chest. I knew I needed to do something, to take control of my life, to move on. I started by focusing on my work, throwing myself into my projects, using the long hours to distract myself from the pain. I also started exercising, hitting the gym every day, pushing myself to my physical limits. It helped to release some of the pent-up anger and frustration. As the weeks turned into months, I started to heal, slowly but surely. I realized that I couldn't let Willow's betrayal define me. I was still Theron, a good man, a valuable employee, a loyal friend, and I deserved to be happy. I decided to file for divorce. It was a difficult decision, but I knew it was the right one. I couldn't stay in a marriage that was built on lies and deceit. The divorce proceedings were messy and painful. Willow fought me every step of the way, trying to get as much money as possible. But I stood my ground, refusing to be bullied or manipulated. During the divorce, I discovered something even more shocking. Willow was pregnant, and the baby wasn't mine. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. Not only had she betrayed me, but she had also been carrying another man's child while we were still married. The level of deception was staggering. I confronted her about it, and she admitted the truth. Jasper was the father. She had been planning to leave me all along, to start a new life with him and their baby. The news devastated me, but it also solidified my resolve. I was done with Willow. I was done with her lies, her deceit, and her betrayal. I finalized the divorce, severing all ties with her. I sold our apartment in Minneapolis and decided to start fresh, to move to a new city, to build a new life for myself. I chose Seattle, a city I had always dreamed of living in. I found a job at a tech company, a small but innovative startup that was doing exciting things. I bought a small condo overlooking the Puget Sound, and I started to explore my new surroundings. I made new friends, joined a hiking group, and started taking cooking classes. I was slowly rebuilding my life piece by piece. One evening, while I was browsing online, I stumbled across Jasper's social media profile. He was a successful businessman, a real estate developer with a reputation for being ruthless and ambitious. As I scrolled through his photos, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. He was married. He had a wife and 2 children. Willow had been having an affair with a married man. She had destroyed our marriage for a man who was already committed to someone else. A wave of anger washed over me, but this time it was different. It wasn't the same raw, consuming anger I had felt before. This time, it was a cold, calculating anger, an anger that fueled a desire for justice. I decided to do something that would expose Jasper's infidelity and reveal Willow's true character to the world. I created an anonymous email account and sent a message to Jasper's wife, Edana. I attached photos of Willow and Jasper together, taken from their social media accounts. I also included a detailed account of their affair, including the fact that Willow was pregnant with his child. I hit send and waited. A few days later, I received a response from Edana. She thanked me for exposing the truth and told me that she was divorcing Jasper. She was devastated, but she was also grateful to be free from his lies and deceit. I felt a sense of satisfaction, knowing that I had brought justice to Edana and exposed Willow and Jasper for who they really were. But my revenge didn't stop there. I also contacted the school board where Willow worked and informed them of her affair with Jasper. I provided them with evidence of her misconduct, including the photos and the email correspondence. The school board launched an investigation, and Willow was eventually fired from her job. Her reputation was ruined, and she was ostracized by her colleagues and friends. I watched from afar as Willow's life crumbled around her. She had lost her husband, her lover, her job, and her reputation. She was left with nothing but the consequences of her own actions. Some might say that my actions were harsh, that I went too far, but I believe that Willow deserved everything that happened to her. She had betrayed me, lied to me, and destroyed our marriage. She had shown no remorse for her actions, and she had continued to manipulate and deceive me until the very end. I don't regret what I did. I believe that I brought justice to Edana and exposed Willow for who she really was, and in doing so, I was able to heal and move on with my life. I'm now living a happy and fulfilling life in Seattle. I have a great job, wonderful friends, and a beautiful condo overlooking the Puget Sound. I've learned from my past mistakes, and I'm determined to never let anyone treat me the way Willow did. I've also learned that revenge, while satisfying in the short term, is not the ultimate answer. True happiness comes from forgiveness, self-respect, and the ability to move on from the past. I'm not sure what the future holds for me, but I'm optimistic and hopeful. I know that I'm strong, resilient, and capable of anything. And I'm grateful for the lessons I've learned, even the painful ones, because they have made me the person I am today. Several years later, I received a message from Willow. She was living in a small town in Montana, working as a waitress. She was struggling to make ends meet, and she was raising Jasper's child on her own. Jasper had abandoned her shortly after Edana divorced him. Willow apologized for everything she had done. She admitted that she had made a terrible mistake and that she regretted hurting me. She asked for my forgiveness. I thought about her message for a long time. I considered ignoring it, dismissing it as another attempt to manipulate me. But then I realized that holding onto anger and resentment was only hurting me. I decided to forgive her, not for her sake, but for my own. I sent her a message back, telling her that I forgave her and that I hoped she could find peace and happiness in her life. Her response was filled with gratitude and relief. She thanked me for my forgiveness and told me that it meant the world to her. I don't know if Willow ever truly changed, but I do know that forgiving her allowed me to finally let go of the past and move on with my life. And that, in the end, was the greatest revenge of all.